over the last year and a half plus that we've been in this pandemic, the workforce has changed drastically, and it's definitely undergone some serious changes for women. We have two local women here with JVS Human Services who are hoping through their 8-week course they can help some of the women that left the workforce or were forced out of the workforce for one reason or another to get back in and put their best foot forward and springboard themselves to success. And that's what this 8-week course is called. We're pleased to be joined now by Judy Richman and Lisa Bahm from JVS Human Services to talk about this program. Ladies, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that may not be familiar with this or haven't heard of this, for women that are out there looking to get back in the workforce and need that extra help and extra push to get there, what is Springboard for Success and how can people participate?
Well, I guess I could start by telling everyone about the Springboard to Success program. It is a combination of computer training and what's known as our Women to Work program here at JVS Human Services. Obviously, it combines computer training and it also assists women in terms of conducting an active and successful job search.
We're joined by Judy Richman and Lisa Bahm from JVS Human Services. Join us to talk about Springboard to Success, a program that will help women get back into the workplace. It's an 8-week program through Women to Work that will be held Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to noon with computer classes Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. So you talked about some of the computer classes that will go into this and just lightly touched on that and how computer skills will play into this. But what other skills is this program focusing on to help these women get back into a workforce that has certainly changed a lot over the last year and a half, and even in short pockets, depending on when some of these people may have gotten out of the workforce versus now coming back in?
Well, Lisa, do you want to explain about the computer training?
Sure. We've seen a real shift in the workplace, obviously, in the past year and a half. Things have become much more remote by employers. We're seeing the hybrid model taking effect more and more, and the workplace and employers are offering a little bit more flexibility than we've seen in the past. So it's critical that we adapt to those changes and that our job seekers become savvy in technology. I mean, it just starts even with being able to apply for jobs online, right? So our program offers our job seekers the ability to learn the modern technology. We teach them about being resourceful and learning how to use search engines to, learn more about technology going forward, particularly if they're in the job and need assistance. And Judy spends a lot of time with the job seekers talking about how to update their resumes, how to use social media for networking, and really how to build their confidence moving forward. So we try to minimize their fears, their technology fears, and their ability to go back into the workplace.
We're joined by Judy Richman and Lisa Bahm from JVS Human Services, talking about Springboard to Success, helping women get back into the workforce and get prepared to go back into the workforce, both applying for jobs and what they need to know once they get back out there in the world. That's definitely changed, in a workplace that has definitely changed as well. And so, Judy, as women are preparing to go back into the workforce, Lisa touched a little bit on what they should be preparing for in terms of the technology and of their approach to applying for jobs, particularly online, but the needs of these individual women as well that are going back into the workforce, much like the workforce itself and the workplace itself, have changed over the course of the pandemic as the world around us has shifted and changed and pivoted, as so many would frame it. What questions should women be asking as they're going back into the workplace, as they're getting these interviews, as they're going through these interviews? What questions should they be asking employers to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward going back into the workplace, but also creating a situation where a changed life for them is not adversely affected by them returning to work?
Well, you're bringing up some very important points right now. And to begin with, we do prepare the women to find jobs. And of course, that involves developing a resume, for example, knowing how to approach employers, feeling more self-confident. We offer areas that cover, for example, stress management, social media, networking, and how to be perhaps more assertive. Often the women have been isolated and they sometimes think that they're the only ones that are going through this difficult time, but that's not the case at all. And especially because of the pandemic, it so happens that women are finding themselves at home even more and looking for remote positions. And that is an area that is definitely increasing. And it's allowing women to still take care of their children as well as working from home remotely. So we've seen a number of changes over the last year and a half or so.
And should there be different approaches for these women to take depending on what their situation was leaving the workplace and what their situation is going back into it? Because on one hand, you can presume that many women lost their jobs during the height of the pandemic, especially early on, as many other people of varying demographics did. But on the other hand, a lot of the women, particularly the ones that are focused on mostly when we're talking about women leaving the workforce in the numbers that they did, left the workforce to provide additional support for their families, particularly for their children during these changing times. Are there different approaches that should be taken from women in one situation versus the next as they head back into the modern, in the context of COVID, workforce?
Well, another good question, and thank you for that. And you bring up another very good point, which is specifically what else is there out there? One of the things that we do offer is an assessment so that the women can take a look at their skills and their abilities and their education and their background and maybe explore new fields that they hadn't considered before. And again, that's where the computer skills kick in. So it's always a combination of being open to new opportunities as well as having the technology in order to perform those jobs successfully.
We're joined by Judy Richman and Lisa Bahm. They are from
JVS. I think if I may add to that, Tyler, I think it's really important too that you know, if you've been home being a caregiver or you've had to take a gap in your career, there's certainly skills that you've attained throughout that as well. So it's important to look at those skills you've acquired as a caregiver or as a volunteer or as a stay-at-home mom, and think in terms of, you know, how do I apply these skill sets in a new job?
And an interesting question just popped into my head on that note, Lisa, because you talk about those skills being important to going back in the workforce. You haven't been on the job or in the workplace over the last 7 months, year and a half throughout the entire pandemic for a number of different circumstances. But you've still been dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the familial aspects of the pandemic, with the personal aspects of it, and you do develop those skills.
Yeah.
Being that you have such a gap in your resume because of the time you've been out of the workforce, but you have developed those skills, is that something that should be tailored into your resume or into your job application to prove that, yes, I've been out of the workforce, to show that, yes, I've been out of the workforce, but that's not to say I haven't developed continued skills that make me a very worthy, very capable employee and a hot prospect for this job?
Well, I can say absolutely. And there is a trend for employers currently to be somewhat more understanding of any kind of gaps on a resume and in the experience that people have had working. So it's no secret that people have lost their jobs because of the pandemic. And the question sometimes is, well, even though you haven't been working, what have you been doing? Well, developing the skills that Lisa just mentioned, including computer skills. It always looks very good also on a resume to show what you've been doing during that time and becoming more updated and current technologically wise is a big plus, and employers are very impressed by that.
We're joined by Judy Richman Lisa Bahm from JVS Human Services to talk about Springboard to Success, an 8-week program that will help women prepare to go back into the workforce, both building some additional skills that are ever more necessary today than they were a year and a half ago in the workplace, and into getting jobs, applying for those jobs, and then what they should be prepared for as they go back into a very different workplace than it was a year and a half ago. Judy, Lisa, how can people get involved with this program? Is there a limited amount of space? Is this open to anybody? How can people sign up and find more information about Springboard for Success?
Well, we certainly hope people will want more information, and so we are very pleased to have anyone interested, anyone having any questions, to call me directly. And my phone, in fact, is 248-233-4232. 248-233-4232. Feel free to leave a message. I'm always very pleased to get phone calls. The more, the better. So please don't hesitate to call with any concerns or questions that you have.
And that phone number again is 248-233-4232. Again, 248-233-4232. As I flub over that number, I'm really sure it's directly in front of me, so my apologies. But we'll read it again at the end of the interview. We're joined by Judy Richman and Lisa Bahm from JVS Human Services to talk about an upcoming program, Springboard to Success, an 8-week program that will help women who, for one reason or another, left the workforce over the course of the pandemic, as so many people did, get ready to go back into it. Make a strong interview, make a strong application, get back in the workplace, and get back in full strength to doing great work out in a number of different sectors of our economy. Judy, Lisa, before we let you go, anything else that would be important for our audience to know about this program, or any other advice for women who are seeking to get back into the workforce?
Well, just one other comment, and that is we have an information meeting planned for September 30th, of course, in person here at JVS in Southfield. And that's an opportunity for women who have some interest in the program to join us, ask more questions, get more details, and get the full picture as to the importance of this program.
Judy, Lisa, we appreciate your time. Thank you for talking.
And I'd like to add that, we offer a lot of, I'd like to just add that we offer a lot of different services at JVS Human Services for job seekers. And if they contact Judy at that number, Judy can, talk with them about what their needs are. But we offer career counseling, online education training, and financial literacy programs. So there's a whole slew of resources available for job seekers.
Judy, Lisa, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for talking to us about this and introducing this program for women that may be watching, that want to get back into the workforce and want to build some of those extra skills that maybe help them put a leg up in their pursuit of a new job. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. This was fun.